back, everyone. In this video, we're going to be adding authentication to our application. We're going to be using Auth0 authentication platform, which is going to provide a lot of built-in features that is going to make our development time much quicker. So Auth0 is an authentication and authorization platform. Auth0 provides UI elements that can be used to set up your authentication in your applications. It also provides the infrastructure, so it provides the storage, security compliance, certifications, SDKs, and much more. Auth0 allows you to set up authentication with many social providers like Google, Apple, Amazon, GitHub, and more. So it's really easy to set that up in your administrator platform. It also allows you to set up MFAs, SMS, biometrics if you want to allow that in your applications. The user management console is where you're going to manage all your users, and it's a nice Auth0 dashboard that provides all the information that you need about your users. Customization, it also provides a way to customize the flow and adapt Auth0 to your application. So it's really easy to set up. It also allows you to set up roles and permission by users and groups. So you can have different permissions for different users inside of your application. To get started, we're going to continue working with the members app. And if you're just coming to this video without watching the other ones, you can clone the repo from GitHub. So I will leave the link in the description so you can clone it and follow the steps on the README in order to get started. Before we jump into the code, I want you to show you this diagram of the Auth0 authentication flow, or the login flow at least. So here we have our user, which is going to click on a login link in our application. Our application is going to request to authorize send a request to /authorize in our Auth0 account or tenant. The tenant is going to redirect the user to a form where the user can log in or sign up. Then the user is going to provide the email, password, or the credentials in order to sign in or log in. That information is going to be sent back to our Auth0 tenant. The Auth0 tenant is going to send some code to our application in order to generate the credentials for the application. We're going to set up a client ID, credentials that's all going to be set up, secret key and private key using the Auth0 SDK. Then those credentials are going to be sent back to the Auth0 tenant, and they're going to be verified using the single key that was sent by the authorization code here. After that is verified, we're going to receive a token ID and access ID back in our application, which we're going to be able to use in order to request any data about the user that is stored and created in our Auth0 account. So that's basically the flow that happens, so from top to bottom, and then we'll be able to access the user information. There are 3 sections that are going to be created in Auth0, or depending on the login and sign up form. So we're going to have a application session, which is going to be stored in a browser cookie. This is the one we're going to be working with directly. And there's also the Auth0 section or single sign-on cookie, which is going to be when the user authorizes Auth0 to kind of like sign into the Auth0 platform, and then we get the permissions in our application. The only difference we're going to see here is that if we try to log out, we're going to be logging out from the application session, but there's still going to be a cookie, which is authorizing Auth0, the Auth0 login. So they're going to be separate, and this will allow the user to come back to your application, just click login, and your application will still be authorized to log in the user back to their account. If you want to log out the user completely, there are going to be some other steps that you need to take. I will leave some documentation in the video description. And also for identity provider sessions, let's say if the user logins with Google, there's also a few other steps that we need to do in order to log out the user completely from the identity provider as well. So now we're going to, if you need to clone the repo, you can go to the GitHub repo. I will leave the link in the description of the video. And then we're going to continue from where we left off back in the previous video. So let's make sure our application is running. I'm going to run npm run dev. And I'm going to go to localhost 3000 in my browser. In the meantime, we can go to the auth0.com website so we can sign up for an account if you don't have one. So if you go to auth0.com and go to the menu here, and go to products and go to Authentication, we can go and click on Get Started. When you click on Get Started, you can provide your email and continue. Use GitHub to sign in, Google, or your Microsoft account. I'm going to click on Continue with Google. And then I'm going to select my email here and authorize Auth0 to sign me up using my Google account. Then it's going to ask for a little bit of information about you and just go through the different steps here to create your account. So it's going to set up a tenant, just like we saw in the flow chart that we were looking at. So here we're going to go to Applications and click on Applications. And here you're going to have a default application already created for you, but you can create a brand new application. So let's create a new app here. And we can call this one members-app so we can recognize this app. And then we're going to pick a web application and we're going to click on Next.js and hit continue. And here there's going to be a quick start information, and then our credentials are going to be available here. So your credentials here, your client ID, all of this is private to you. I'll probably delete this credentials at the end of the video, but you should never share your client ID or any private information about your application. I'm sharing it here so you can see it. So what we're going to do, we're going to go back to our .env file back in our application. So in our .env, we have the mongodb URI. And if you just clone in the application from GitHub, you don't have this .env.local. You need to create it and set up your mongodb URI in here in order for the application to work. And you can look back at the MongoDB video to see how to do that. So here we need to set up our credentials. So I'm going to click on credentials here. And we're going to copy. We're going to scroll down. And we're going to, let me bring this up a bit. So let's go to Quick Start. And down here, we're going to scroll down. And we're going to copy all of this information here to configure our SDK. So I'm going to click copy here, and I'm going to bring it right after this one here. Here we have our base URL, the URL that was set up for our account, client IDs, secret client, and the Auth0 secret. For the Auth0 secret, we're going to get a random string. So we're going to copy this command here, and we can open a new terminal to get a random string here. So we can copy this and replace everything inside the quotes in our auth secret environment variable and save, which is recommended by the Auth0 instructions. So now everything is set up. We have, whoops, let me see, I'm missing a quote here. There we go, that looks better. So this is everything we got to do here. So I'm going to close the env file, and then I'm going to scroll back up, and we need to, let's see, we need to set up our callback URL, which is going to be this one here. So we're going to go and copy this, and we need to go to our settings. Settings is here. No, we need to go, let's see, in the app settings. So let's see here, settings. Okay, there we go. This is it. So when we scroll down in the settings, we're going to set up, we need to set up our logout and callback endpoints here. So allow callbacks. Here's what we're going to paste, the one we copy. So http://localhost3000/API/auth/callback. And the allow logout, we're going to just grab http localhost 3000 and paste it here. So this is going to be the allow callback URL, and then the logout, the allow logout URL, and then make sure you hit save changes. So for the setup, I think that's everything we need to do in the account here. Then we can, if we need to go back, we can click on quick start, save changes, just to make sure everything is saved. So let's double check here. We allow the callback and the logout to localhost 3000, this one to this one. And now we are ready to install the SDK in our application. So we can copy this and go back to our app on VS Code. I can close this terminal here, stop my server, and paste the npm install command so we can install the Auth0 SDK for Next.js. Here's a little more information about each one of these environment variables. And then we're going to set up our dynamic API routes handler as soon as this is done here. All right, perfect. So now that this is done, let's run our app again. npm run dev. And then we're going to create a new file. So inside of our app folder here, we're going to right click, new folder, and this one is going to be our API folder or directory, and then we're going to create a new folder of for authentication, all of the authentication routes for our API. And then here we're going to create a dynamic route, which is going to be square brackets, square brackets of 0. And then we're going to, this needs to be a folder. Sorry about that. New folder of 0. Enter. And then here we're going to right click new file, routes.ts. So we have our APIs folder, we have the authentication endpoint, and we have the Auth0 dynamic routes that we need to create. So inside of the routes folder here is where we want to start creating the routes for Auth0. So basically it's just copying and pasting this code, but we're going to, let's test the application, make sure it's running first. So here, let's refresh it. And cool. Let's do a quick change on the hero component really quickly. On components, hero, the height is set to the screen. Let's make it a little smaller, like a 96. And give it a quick refresh. Okay, that's better. Keep it there. So now let's go back to Auth0, to the Auth0 endpoint. And here what we're going to do, we're going to continue following with the instructions here. So we're going to import the Auth0 handler. So we're going to copy this and paste it inside of our routes. So here we put in the handle off, and we're exporting the get method to our handle off function handler here. So now let's see what else we got to do here. Yes, so that's fine. That's all we need to do so far. So in here, if you were creating all of your request handlers, you will have to define your get method to maybe get some information, your post method to receive your email and password for the login. With Auth0, all this requests are part of the SDK, so we just need to configure this one here. And if we need to configure more routes, we could do it right under this one. But right now, this is all we need. So the next step would be to go to let's head to components, and let's go to the header component. So in the header, at the moment, we have members, create, and about. So what I want to do here, I want to create a new login button, which is going to be right around here. So in here, let's do a new link, which is going to say login, and the href is going to be 2/API/off and then /login. So when the user clicks on this link here, is going to make a GET request to our new endpoint, and is going to be handled by the Auth0 handler or request handler. So notice we got /API, /off, and then /login. This is just dynamic route. So anything here, login will be handled by the same request handler. So in here, now we have the login. When we click on the login, we will see that it's going to redirect the user to the Auth0 login. Here is the UI element that was, generated by Auth0, and here we ask you to log in with your email and password, or sign up if you don't have an account. So let's see if we can log into our tenant in order to continue to our members app. So if we don't have an account, we could just sign up, and we can create a test account, and then we can say password 1 exclamation. So notice how it has all the different feedback, use and elements ready for you. Then when we click on continue, the Auth0 is going to ask for permission to allow our application to sign up to our Auth0 tenant, pretty much. So we just have to click accept when we want to, if we want to sign in or sign up. And now we have redirected back to our application. So now in our app, we should have a cookie somewhere back in our application, and is the app session here. So now with those credentials, we should be able to access the user information. But before we do that, let's just have a few more, let's take care of a few more UI elements in our application here. Right now in our app, there's no way to just go straight to the sign up. We had to click on login, and we had to click on sign up instead. But what we can do is that we can go to the main page here, and we're going to, let's say, right under the hero image here, let's do a div. And in this div, we're going to have, let's do another div with some text, best fast growing app, or whatever title you want to use here. Best fast growing app. And then down here, we're going to do another div, which is going to say, and get started for free. This is just some text on our application to get the user to sign up. And then we're going to have another div with a button, which is going to be a link, and make sure it gets imported at the top. We can remove this URL that we had before here. We're not using this anymore. But here we could say sign up. And then the href will be a path to /API, or get request /API /of /sign up. Let's add a few classes to this so we can see a little bit better. So in the main div here, I'm gonna add a class name with border p-10 or padding 10, flex, let's do flex dash call, justify center items dash center. Let's also do rounded bg dash slate, and then 100 or whatever color you want, text dash white, What else we need? We need margin top. Let's do a 48. Margin X. Let's do 60. Height of 80. And let's do, what else we got? We got shadow XL for some box shadow. And then on the next div, we're going to do class name. Let's do text -2XL. Cool. And then we're gonna do font -bold underline, and then we're going to do, and let's see what else we need. I think we're done with this div. On the next div, let's do class name text -2XL, and then we're gonna do font -bold, or we could do that into the parent div, but that's fine. And then animate and bounce. Okay, cool. That's fine. Now, what else? So we're going to do a little bit of styling on the sign up button, and that's it. So class name, we're gonna do font -bold, bg-green 500, padding 3, rounded, text -white, margin top -5, and let's do shadow MD, and then on hover we're gonna do bg-green, and then 400, a little lighter, and then on hover also we're gonna do cursor pointer. Cool. So it looks like on this one we just need maybe some margin. Play around with the margin here. On the fast growing. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so this one, margin top, margin bottom. That's fine. That looks a little bit better. So now, what's important about this is that we just have a way for the user to click on sign up, and it will take them to the sign up form right away. So we have a way to log in and a way to sign up. Now, the next step will be to set up the sign up in our handler. So when we make this request, the request is going to go to the request handler. On the request handler, we need to set up the sign up route. So let's go back to our handler here. We're going to pass in a options object here, and we're going to say sign up, colon, and then we're going to do, we got to import the handle login function here, and then we're going to pass it here, and the login. And then to the handle login, we need to set the authorization session params to pass in a screen hint of sign up, so it knows what to display. So that way it will show the sign up screen instead of the login. And that's it. That's all we got to set up in our handle auth. In the handle login, we just set up our sign up screen instead of the login. And now if we click on sign up, let's see, clicking on sign up, it takes us to the sign up, and we could log in here instead. So if we go back, click on login, it will go to login and directly, and we could sign up if we want to as well. Cool, so now we have the way to log in and sign up in our UI, and it will direct the user to the correct screen in the Auth0 SDK. All right, so the user right now, they can log in or can sign up. So just to sign up again, we're going to sign up with test1@test.com, and then password 1, need an uppercase, and then hit continue. We need to authorize the application, click accept, and it will redirect us back to our page. Now, at this stage, we are able to make another request to get the user information to do some conditional rendering, maybe for our application, and use the user information inside of our app. So first thing we need to do, we need to go back to our, let's go to our layout, and inside of the layout, we're going to import the user provider component, which is going to come from Auth0. So we're going to do a quick import here, import, and then we're gonna do, let me double check this is from the client. So we're gonna do user provider from Next.js client, and then we need to wrap our application inside of the user provider. So we're gonna go right after the HTML tag here, we're gonna go to user, we're gonna type user provider, and then we're gonna put the closing one right after the body element here. Cool, that's all we gotta do here. Now we're wrapping our app inside of the user provider so we can access the user information. So we're gonna go back to our header component. And now let's go back to the header. And in the header, we should be able to access the user information. So we're going to import a component. Let's import a user from the Auth0 client. And then we're going to initialize this here. So we're going to say const curly brackets equals user. And from user, we can destruct user. We can also destruct error if there's an error, and then is loading as well. So if we do a console log of user, and whoops, we got an error here. So we have okay, so we get an error here, and it says attempted to call use user, which is a client component. So we need to make this header component a client component. So at the top, we're going to mark this as a use client to make this whole component a client component. Now we could inspect the page, check the console log, and if we do a quick refresh, let's click on login. Let's have test one at test.com. Let's see if I can remember the password. And try to log in. Cool. Click OK. Oh, and then let's see in the terminal here. See if we get in the user information. We're getting undefined at the moment. Let's see if we're missing anything here. Okay, I was not able to see it because my browser here was only showing me the warnings. If you click on, make sure you can see everything here. It's giving me the user information here. So we have an email. If the email is verified, we got the name, we got a picture. So Auth0 uses Gravatar, and if you already have a Gravatar account, it will select your default picture from there, or it will generate a user picture for you with just your initials. And now we can see we have the user information. So with that user information now, we could create a conditional rendering for our buttons. So back in our headers, first thing we're gonna do is to conditionally render the login button, because right now we're logged in, but we still see this button here. So I'm going to, let me copy this one down, and I'm going to wrap those two inside of curly brackets. So I'm gonna check if we have a user. So if user is true, we want to render this. Else, we want to render the login. So I'm gonna keep this one and the bottom one as login. So if user is true, we want to show logout. And the endpoint is going to be to /API/auth/logout. And format that in here. So now we can see logout instead of the login button. Cool. So let's see what we need to do next here. Before we do anything else here, let's just test the logout. So if I click on logout here, it will destroy the cookie that was in our application, and now it redirect me back to localhost 3000. And now we can see that we don't have a user, so user is false at the moment, and it will show in the login information instead. So that's fine for now. That's all we got to do. But let's use the information about the user again. So let's log back in. So it's good that we're testing this. If you forgot your user information, just create a new one. But I remember the username and password. Log back in the application. We can say logout and it's still working. So what I want to do, I want to render the user image right next to the logout button. So right before we have the login or logout, I'm going to do another curly brackets here, and I want to check if we have a user. We're going to render a image component, and on the image component we're going to set up the src to equals user.picture, and then we're going to do width equals to, let's do 50 and a height of 50. And then what are we getting here? JSX does not support attributes because they don't have a props property. I need to import image in here at the top. It didn't import it for us. So image from next image. Cool. So now we get the error here about we need to tell Next.js about where we're getting these images from. So we're going to go back to the next config file down here. And we're going to copy this one down, just like we did with the Unsplash. Copy that down and provide this host name. So gravatar s.gravatar.com. Paste it in here. That's for the optimization for the images. So after that, we could save, refresh. And visit our page again. Okay, there we go. Let's log back in here. We got an error. We'll have to, let's stop the server here and restart the server. Looks like the config file messed the application up, but let's just restart it and see that error go if it goes away. Come on. Let's give it another second. See if we miss anything else. Cool. We're back here. Log in. Oh, we're already logged in. The image is right over here. Cool. All right, so let's finish this up on the image. On the image, let's do a O tag and say user photo. And then we also want to add a class name of rounded-full. And we need to, on this div, let's add, we have, no, what do we have? This is our div. We have, okay, if we do everything, set everything to flex, and then justify center, and then we're gonna do mx dash auto here, and then p-8, just to organize this a little bit better. No, those they do not go here. That's not what I want. Sorry about that. Okay, we want to make a flex, but we want items that center. There we go. That's all we needed. And then let's do, no, that's it. That's all we need to do there. Let's leave it at that. That's fine. So right now we're going to ignore this one in here. We'll fix that a little bit later. But at the moment, we're able to, you could be seeing if the user has an avatar account and they have the image, they will see their default image that they have in their avatar account. But right now we're able to see the logout and the sign up just like we wanted to. And then the last thing we probably got to do is to go back to, let's put this down, And let's head over back to, let's say, in here, back into the header. So let's see if this goes away. That's fine. We can ignore that for now. So back inside of the header. So what we want, so let's say your users already, if they log in, we want to redirect the user to another page, right? We don't want to keep them in the landing page here. So what we could do is that we can go right after we set the user here, and we can say, let's import we're gonna import use router, and then we're going to get this router set up. And then we could do a if statement, so we can say if user. So if we have a user, we're going to use the router that push method to push the user to /members or any other page that you want to redirect the user to. And hold it here, router next router was not mounted. Let's go and double check the import. Oh, because it's coming, it needs to be the one from navigation. So navigation here. There we go. Let's, okay, logged in. And now with the redirect, there you go. Took a little bit. My computer could be a little bit slow at the moment because I'm running a few other programs, but right now it's working, right? When we log in, we're going to check if we have a user. So if we're successful or signing in, we're going to redirect the user to another route. We also have the error in loading that if you wanted to check or maybe show another page, you could do, let's say, if is loading. Yeah, definitely my computer is a little bit slow at the moment. So if is loading, we want to return maybe another loader icon or something that you want to show the user. Right now you can just say loading. Or if we get an error, we can return the error, that message. Maybe a page, or take the user to another page where you can display the error dot message. All right, we can keep this here in case you want to implement something different. But if it's loading, it's just going to say loading. If there's an error, it's just going to show the error message. If everything goes good, we get to this if statement and we redirect the user to another page. So let's see, I think we are all done. If we click on log out again, just to iterate over, we get redirected. We saw the login a little bit at the top, but it went away really quick. So now we have implemented a way for the user to log in or sign up. So you can either click login, you get redirected to the Auth0 UI, or to log into the tenant, and then you can choose enter your password, and then you get redirected back to your application, and you get redirected to another page because you successfully sign up to the app. We can see the user initials here. We see the logout button in case they need to log out. And if we get back to the page, you also have the sign up route in order for the user to sign up if they don't have an account. So I'm gonna drop some more links to other things you might want to do. I want to keep this video no longer than what it is at the moment. So you could protect some more routes, and then you can also remember when you log out of the application session. But if I click login, this could be a Auth0 session that is still in place, and you will have to also log out from the Auth0 session. So I would drop some links for you to look into that, or if you want to implement the logout with their Google account, because you need to do a few extra steps. But this is it for now. Let me log right back into the app. And we have successfully implemented our authentication inside of our application. So you can use this same flow to add authentication to any other of your projects. Just follow the same steps and you should be fine with everything that I show you here. That's it for now. I hope you like this, and I'll see you in the next video.